Napoli fans around the world, welcome to Napoli Talk. What a second half by Napoli, making sure that we get the 3 points at home against Udinese. Udinese scoring the first goal of the game with Deulofeu, the first number 10 to score a goal at the Stadio Diego Armando Maradona since it was called the Stadio Diego Armando Maradona. And Napoli had a shocking first half. Found it very difficult to provide any sort of options for Osimhen. Found it very difficult to get the midfielders involved into the attack. Insigne had a few chances, Politano as well. But then in the second half, Spalletti changed things around. In between the first and second half, Spalletti made a critical sub, bringing on Dries Mertens in place of Fabian Ruiz. Very attack-minded substitution right there. Dries Mertens we haven't seen in a very long time, and we've been saying that, if Napoli needs some goals, then we should be bringing on Dries Mertens with more than just 10 minutes to go. It seemed like Spalletti has heard the fans, and he brought him on with 45 minutes to go. And Dries Mertens, his energy changed the game. His link-up play with the midfielders and Osimhen changed everything for us. We get the first goal with a free kick that Osimhen manages to head home, and the second one, thanks to Osimhen coming in to the front post after Di Lorenzo cross, after some good link-up play with Politano. And we managed to hold on to that 2-1 lead. However, guys, we do end the game with two yellow cards that I think we could have avoided. One for Rahmani and one for Osimhen. These are two guys that will miss the next game, and that's going to be a very difficult game against Atalanta. I think both yellow cards could have been easily avoided, and I think both were a bit harsh. And honestly, guys, this yellow card is the only thing that is going to stop Osimhen at the moment, because Osimhen has scored twice for the second time in a row. That's the only time someone has done it in Italy this year. So he's the most in-form player at the moment, and really only this yellow card could have stopped him. A yellow card that he got in the 92nd minute, so extremely avoidable. But we'll get to that. We'll analyze how he got that yellow card, whether that should have been a yellow card. Let me know in the comments below. In fact, why don't I make a poll so that you guys can vote? I know you guys love a poll, so let me decide what the poll should be, and let me ask, let's see, should it have been a yellow card for Osimhen? Because I think we'll have mixed opinions about that. Have gotten a yellow card. All right, let me ask that question in the poll. So I think that should be live now. Before I get to the analysis of the game, guys, let me go and see what the chat is saying. There's a lot of you today in the chat, so let me start off by, a lot of you guys are saying no to that yellow card. Maximus, for some reason, is saying Rui needs to be replaced. I thought Mario Rui actually had a very good game going forward. He's been consistently the player that just doesn't give up. Doesn't matter if we're losing, winning, tying the game. He's always gonna put in an effort this year. He's been maybe one of our best players. I would definitely put Rui in our top 6 of the season. Just the consistency and effort that he has been phenomenal this year. Anthony Navarro saying, I did hear Osimhen and Rahmani aren't going to be there for us versus Atalanta, so what are we going to do? I think we'll have to play with Fabian Ruiz and Lobotka with a 4-2-3-1. And, 4-2-3-1. Put Zielinski back in the field and Mertens up top. I think we can still challenge Atalanta with that formation. Obviously, we're missing Osimhen, who has been phenomenal for us. But Mertens, I really liked him today, so I trust in Mertens. I really do. Nichti Pro LP saying Udinese is a dirty team. Yeah, I've seen dirtier teams out there, but they did get a red card, a straight red for one of their tackles on Zielinski. So yeah, you could say they're a bit aggressive. Blue Line is saying congrats for the win. Best wishes for next matches. We have Mertens and Juan Jesus against Atalanta. Yeah, sorry, I meant Juan Jesus. Did I say our midfield, I think we still have Anguissa there. I confused Anguissa with Rahmani for some reason. So it's Rahmani that has the yellow card, and obviously, we're going to play Juan Jesus over there. I mean, we had both Koulibaly and Rahmani that had a yellow card, that were one yellow card away from missing the next game. The worst thing would have been that both of them get a yellow card and they both miss the next game. I think the fact that we can actually get just one of them yellow carded is a good thing. Get that out of the way. Play Juan Jesus. Maybe have Koulibaly get a yellow card after the Roma game, and or during the Roma game, so that after that we can play Juan Jesus again next to Rahmani, and we don't run the risk of both of them being out, because we don't have a fourth choice center back. Tuanzebe has just not turned up for Napoli since we bought him, so I don't think we're gonna ever play him, to be honest. Sufus Koba saying Mertens will step up against Atalanta. In December, Mertens was also great. I'm more worried about Rahmani missing. I'm not too worried, to be honest, about Rahmani missing. I think Juan Jesus has stepped in extremely well when it mattered, so I'm honestly not that worried. Alexander saying greetings from sunny Florida. Dom, thoughts on Insignie's performance today? I think he should have come out second half. I think he had a very average performance. I mean, it was one of those performances where if you compare it to some of the other ones this year, then you would say, yeah, it's pretty average. If you compare it to, obviously, what we can expect from Insigne from previous seasons, it was below average, but I'll just rate him based on what he's done this season, which was very average. I mean, he had a few shots that came close, so, he tried, but was he decisive? Not really. You tend to think that actually maybe we should be playing Elmas a bit more. It's obviously very difficult to call because Insigne is always going to provide something, hopefully, or you hope that he's going to provide something in attack, whether that's a through ball or anything like that. So it's always difficult to bench him, but we're on 30 games right now, and he's just not done enough this season. I don't think we'll miss him next season, to be honest. I really don't think that we'll miss the Insigne of this season. And the earlier we can get Elmas transition, the better. There's talks of Berardi coming in, which means obviously he'd play down the right-hand side. Would that mean that Lozano moves over to the left and we start with Lozano? I don't know about that either, because today Insigne was subbed off and we didn't bring Lozano on. So you can't even say that Lozano is, a fundamental part of this project. It's not like he was just rested today and, played 30 minutes. That's, if a player is really part of a project and important to the team, you rest him, like you don't start him, but then you at least play him 20, 30 minutes. Lozano didn't come on today, so you wonder how much is he going to be involved with this Napoli team going forwards. Hussein 9996 is saying it could have been avoided. Fam, the likes, please. Yeah, guys, make sure you are smashing that like button. I know a lot of you guys are watching this on full screen, so you don't see that like. My suggestion is minimize your screen. Go ahead and smash that like button, then subscribe if it's still showing red. Because we are continuing our 1 like or 1 sub equals 1 cent to the Fondazione Cannavaro Ferrara, which is always a good initiative to donate to kids in need. Blue Line is saying it shouldn't be a yellow card, not even a foul against Osimhen. Yellow card against Rahmani was too harsh, undeserved. Yeah, I think the yellow card against Rahmani was less deserved than Osimhen's. I feel like Osimhen's is, you could kind of give it because, let's be honest, guys, he does stop the ball with his hand on the 92nd minute. I know it touches his legs first and then his hands, but you could say he stopped a goal-scoring shot, even though it was never going to go in, but you could interpret it as that. So I understand that yellow. Rahmani's was a bit harsher, but at the same time, in the last game against Verona, we got Ceccherini sent off with a second yellow because of a handball that was very similar to Rahmani's and Osimhen's. So you could say, I guess things balance out, right? So yeah, Michael Saz is saying, I think Osimhen shouldn't always keep the defenders busy. I think he should sometimes drop deep so the defenders won't be too aware when he sneaks in and strikes. And that's a very good point, because that's exactly how he scored the second goal, which I think is amazing. Daniel Bowen saying the stadium was rocking, Dom, 8 more to go. So Daniel Bowen was at the Maradona. Guys, a full house, maximum capacity based on COVID restrictions. So 40,000 plus people, and I think this was the first time that Osimhen scores a double with such a full house at the Maradona, wins the game, drags us from defeat to not only draw but then to win the game. And guys, I honestly think that this is the time when Osimhen picks up this Napoli team and becomes really the guy for Napoli, the same way that, as much as I hate to say it, Higuain was, and the same way that Mertens and Cavani were in recent seasons. You know, the guys that would drag us out of really difficult situations, because one thing is to score a goal when you're already winning or drawing the game. Another thing is to score 2 goals at home, full house, when you're losing the game. And yeah, we haven't seen a performance like that in a very, very long time. Obviously, he's done it away from home. He did it against Verona last weekend, scoring 2 goals. But as I said, when you do it at home in front of your crowd, I think that makes a difference into how the fans see you. The fact that he can do it in front of, you know, the Curva A, which is where we were attacking in the second half, is fantastic. And the way he celebrated as well, you know, it really shows how much he cares about this team. And honestly, guys, I don't think Osimhen is at all thinking of leaving Napoli anytime soon. I think when Osimhen, and I had this discussion with Oma Akatube, his friend that helped him come to Napoli, and I guess is kind of his agent. You know, I had this conversation with him, and when he did arrive at Napoli, they were seeing it as a stepping stone to something bigger, a Barcelona, a Real Madrid, whatever it is, right? I think now they're starting to realize this is going to be a home for Osimhen. He can really become almost a legend of this club. Obviously, it's still early days. It's only a second season. He hasn't won any trophies with Napoli, but if Osimhen, if Napoli do win the Scudetto, this is Osimhen's Scudetto. 21 goals already. Games like these against Verona and against Udinese right now, coming in clutch with these 2 goals. Scored against Cagliari for the draw. You know, scored against Venezia, the winner, ever since maybe February. So past Christmas, he's been the guy for Napoli. And if by some miracle Napoli win a Scudetto, Osimhen is going to be a legend of this club to higher levels than Cavani, Higuain. Obviously, you can't touch Maradona, but he's going to be, I think, praised higher than Dries Mertens, which is, you know, I don't think we anticipated that at the start of the season. The potential that Osimhen had, that within this year he could be in folklore, in Napoli folklore, put in a place higher than Mertens. Because honestly, guys, if we do somehow win the Scudetto, I think it will be thanks to him. Having said that, Mertens could score a brace or a very important goal against Atalanta next week, and then we'll be saying, oh, it's Mertens, you know, the guy. But honestly, I do think that if Napoli do win the Scudetto, then Osimhen will have a huge part to play, and yeah, I mean, he might not be as good as Cavani. He might not be as good as Higuain. He might not be as good as Mertens. But as I said, if he does win us the Scudetto, he is going to be a legend of this club because he's been scoring heavy goals in recent weeks. And I think with that, I think we can go straight to the player ratings, which are here. So we have, what's this? Why is that 7.5 still there? Let's remove that 7.5 from Spalletti. I wanted to give him a 7. So Spalletti 7. Let me start off with Spalletti. I thought in the first half we suffered and we didn't allow Osimhen to play many. We didn't give Osimhen many balls to play with. In the second half, as I said before, made a fundamental substitution, taking off Fabian and putting on Mertens. Not because Fabian was playing badly. Fabian was playing average. Is a 6. But he had the guts to bring on Mertens, take away a midfielder, bring on an extra striker, and that changed the game. And that's the kind of subs that we've been missing for so long, maybe since October. You know, this was back when Spalletti, at the start of the season, when we went through that 8 consecutive wins period, he was making these sort of subs in between the first and second half, being brave, risking it. And he did that again, and it paid off. Mertens was just instrumental in changing the rhythm for Napoli. I thought Mauro Rui was fantastic today. He was very close to scoring a goal in the first half. Assisted Osimhen for the goal, the first goal. Great delivery inside the box. Continued to be just an amazing presence going forward. Almost got himself a goal at the end. So I think he was extremely good. So he gets a 7. Ospina, what more can we say about Ospina? Kept us in the game. I thought, you know, he pulled off some very good saves in the first half, especially. Udinese could have been 2-0 up, guys, in the first half, and Ospina was always there, always there. Anthony Navarro is saying, what happened to Giovanni Di Lorenzo? Yeah, I honestly don't know what happened to Giovanni Di Lorenzo, guys. If someone has any sort of updates as to what happened to Di Lorenzo, is it something serious, do drop a message in the chat. T4DJ23 is saying, let's go. I was watching the game at a club on the dance floor at my friend's engagement party. Fair to say I was hyped. That's a lot to unpack in that mess. I was watching the game at a club on the dance floor at my friend's engagement. Wow. First off, I love the fact that you prioritize Napoli Udinese in such a situation. Hats off to you. Hats off to your friend. And I can imagine that you're still hyped and you're probably still at the engagement party and you tuned in to Napoli Talk, which is just awesome. So shout out to everybody at that party. You know, invite me next time. Maybe I was in your area. So yeah, guys, if you guys got any sort of parties, I always want an invite. You know, just drop me a DM. As I said, you guys can follow me on official Napoli Talk and Napoli Talk on Instagram and Twitter. I would love to have would love to have you guys follow that, and you know, I do answer all my messages on there, so follow those as well. I was just trying to make a smooth transition. I don't know how smooth that actually ended up being. Fabrizio Landria saying, Dom, top Osimhen and Mertens mentality. Ciao Fabrizio, let me know if you went to the stadium or if you watched it at home. Osimhen has been fantastic for us. I don't think I gave an 8.5 to anyone this year. Maybe I have, maybe once or twice, but this is basically as high as it gets. If he scored a third goal, which he was very close to scoring, it was offside by this much, he would have been at a 9 or 9.5. But yeah, he's coming in clutch. Dante Esposito is saying Insigne shouldn't be starting except that game against Lazio. Ozzy has done more in this week than Ozzy in this season so far. Yeah, I agree. Insigne had one good game this year, and it was against Lazio. And to be fair, Insigne pretty much made sure that we didn't lose that game. Obviously, it was Fabian that got the winning goal, but Insigne contributed with 1 goal and 1 assist. Apart from that, a few penalties here and there, a few assists that you would expect from Insigne, just like you would expect from Politano here and there. But he's not been that world-class player that you think, I'm going to renew him for 6 million. I think De Laurentiis was correct. He was proved correct to only offer 3.5 million. Insigne found someone that was willing to pay 16. Good for him. I'm not sure how that guy feels right now, but probably for the MLS, he's going to be an amazing player. But it's I don't think we'll miss him that much, honestly. I can't imagine there's going to be a player with less of an output than Insigne next season, if you consider just how many games and minutes Insigne has played. I think if you would have given Elmas those same amount of minutes and opportunities, he would have had just as good stats as Insigne, obviously taking away the penalties that Elmas doesn't take. And probably Elmas does have better stats already than Insigne. Payman Dadgar with the £449 donation. Thank you so much for your kind support and supporting this channel. He says, Osimhen has positively surprised me, but we still make it difficult. We should have won this by a higher margin. Can you make a program on transfers? Yeah, I will try to make a program on future transfers for sure. Listen, I think we underestimate teams. When we say we should have won this by a higher margin, Inter Torino finished 1-1 last week with Inter scoring in the final minute. Napoli has not won by more than 1 goal in I don't even know how long. We've scraped past Verona, we scraped past Venezia, we tied against Cagliari. Milan as well are, they're not bashing teams 3-4-0. This is not Man City against Watford or whatever. In the Serie A, at this point of the season, you rarely get top teams crushing smaller teams. You might get a lot of goals between two mid-table teams, like Sassuolo scored 4 goals yesterday, right? But that's because people play against Sassuolo thinking, yeah, you know what, it's not a top team, let me play not so defensive-minded, and then they get exposed. But when these small teams, who, by the way, are still fighting to stay up, play against a big team like Napoli, Inter, Juve, Milan, they're not going to open themselves up at this point of the season. They just want to get a draw. They just want to get a sneaky goal on the counter. And so actually it becomes very difficult to score so many goals against them. Obviously, if you do get an early goal, then it's a little different because then the game opens up. But if you don't open it up, then it's likely going to be just a 1 or maximum 2 goal margin. So I don't think we can look at the next games. Like let's take a look at the next games. Even if we play a team like Empoli, right, on the 24th of April, so it's over a month away, we might be thinking, oh, it's Empoli, they haven't won in a long time. Guys, we're not gonna win 4-0. We're not gonna win against Empoli 4-0 or 3-0. Like, it's still gonna be a difficult game, unless obviously we score early on in the first half, get a second goal within the 50th minute, and then at that point Empoli just give up and we can score the 3rd or 4th. But unless that happens, guys, it's going to be tight. But talking about the next games, Atalanta is next, but we've got a bit of a break until then. We've got next weekend off, and then we go to Atalanta. Let's see if they're still in contention for... Well, clearly they're going to be in contention for a Champions League spot, but let's see how that gap is going to be to Juventus, because if they drop points and Juventus win, then that gap becomes maybe a little bit too much for them, and if that's the case, then they may decide to focus their efforts a bit more on the Europa League than the Serie A. I'm not sure, but in any case, that's going to be a difficult game without Osimhen and a difficult game without Rahmani, but I do think Juan Jesus and Mertens will do a good job for us. So let's hope that they stay fit over the next 10 or so games. Nikola Jokic is saying Osimhen out for next match. Yes, because of the yellow card. Papa is saying Osimhen won almost all those penalties Insignie scored this season. True, very true. If he was taking those penalties himself, he would have way more goals this season. Yeah, he'd be close to 30 goals this season. Let's not forget that Insignie actually did miss a few penalties. I wanted to go to the Stadio, but I haven't found a ticket. Next match, says Fabrizio. Let's hope you get the ticket for Napoli-Fiorentina then, which should be a very good game with Osimhen coming back for that. And maybe this is a good rest for Osimhen, you know. If Dries Mertens, if we can get a good win against Atalanta and we rest Osimhen, then we go into the last 6 games without the fear that Osimhen could miss the next game. He can play a lot more freely. He's maybe rested because he didn't play against Atalanta, and we can just really push in the last 6 games with Osimhen and just try to maximize him to the absolute max, or utilize him to the absolute max. Tamo is saying no analysis without harsh criticism of Insigne. Nobody talks about Zielinski, who does nothing since weeks. Tamo, you're right. Zielinski had a really poor game, and he's not been playing well the past few weeks, and that's true. You are correct, but Zielinski didn't start today. Zielinski played 5 minutes today, so he got rightly benched. And it's very difficult to judge Zielinski off of 5 minutes that he did play. And in fact, in those 5 minutes, he actually got us a red card for Udinese, which maybe was the difference between keeping the score at 2-1 or potentially Udinese tying it 2-2. So he was involved in some way, shape, or form. Whereas Insigne started the game and, to be honest, wasn't contributing too much. Yeah, I mean, I criticize Insigne because obviously the fact that he is the captain, the fact that he has the most talent out of anyone there, obviously we expect more from him. I'm not going to criticize a player who's less than Insigne to the same level of Insigne, because Insigne just has so much more potential than that guy. So Insigne should be providing more. The fact that Insigne is also leaving Napoli means that, you know, you expect him to just give it a little bit extra. But hey, you know, focus on Insigne. I mean, I don't know why you care so much about Insigne, to be honest. This is about Napoli. This is not about any one single player. You know, this is a guy that has decided to leave Napoli, and so I think it's fair for us to criticize him a little bit more. I don't know why anyone would defend Insigne so much. It's kind of a weird fetish, to be honest, if you do. But hey, I do read out your comment, though. I mean, I don't hide away from the fact that I acknowledge the fact that I criticize Insigne, and I hope you appreciate the fact that I do read out your comment, even though it's a criticism towards my rating. But that's why I have the chat that's displayed on the screen. There's no hiding away from the comments, and yeah, I do want to get all opinions. But so guys, let me know if there's more people that think that Insigne should be less criticized. Do let me know, because maybe I'm seeing things wrong. So let's see. If we get 7 points from the next 3 games, the Scudetto is still a possibility, says Lewis C. Yeah, look, it is a really tough schedule. So actually, let me make a new poll, and you gave me a really good idea. Let's see if I can make a new poll, and let's ask how many points we want from the next 3 to still be in the Scudetto race. And let me go with realistic options: 6, 7, and how many points do we need minimum? All right, let me get the wording of this question right. How many minimum points? Why can't I? How many minimum points do we need from the next 3 games to still be in the Scudetto race? And I'm going to put 6, 7, and 9. So either 2 wins and a loss, 2 wins and a draw, or 3 wins. Let me know the minimum amount of points you think we need. So if you put 9, not how many you want. Obviously, we all want 9, but how many can we still get away with and still be in the Scudetto race, do you think, after this run of 3 games, you know? So basically, and if you guys put 7, if we draw against Atalanta away from home, I don't want you guys in the next video to be like, oh, we're out of the Scudetto race, because then, you know, we could still get 7 points out of the next 3. So put yourself in the situation where, okay, yeah, if we get 7, you know, it's still fine, or if we get 6, it's still fine. But I'll be very intrigued with that, how much you think. There's a few of you actually that are saying 6 is still okay. But the majority of you are saying 7 is the minimum. Obviously, some of you are saying 9. So some of you think we need to win all 3 to still be in contention for the Scudetto. I don't know about that. I think we're only 3 points behind Milan, and I don't see Milan winning the next 9, or the next 8. So I think we can get away with not winning all of these games, but I'm very curious to see your thoughts. And yeah, a lot of you guys putting in the votes already, which is extremely interesting. Dante Esposito is saying, no, not worried about Osimhen's absence versus Atalanta. Obviously, it'd be better with him, but Mertens always shows up. Yeah, I think Mertens is actually going to be very keen on showing us that he still got it. And there's no bigger game than Atalanta away from home. Well, I mean, potentially there is bigger games, but it's a huge game. It's a huge game, and Mertens, he has scored away at Atalanta a few times. He has scored the winner against Atalanta a few times. So, you know what? It could be the case that Mertens is still decisive for Napoli when it comes to the following game. Payman Dadgar saying, we're competing against 2 other teams, really need to win it all. I see winning the next 8 games, and we've also won the previous 2. That's 10 wins in a row. I honestly cannot think that we really need all those wins, because I don't think ahead of us we have a team like Man City or Liverpool. Like, if we were in this position in the league and we had a team ahead of us like Liverpool or Man City, right, that just go out there and annihilate everybody, and they're just so superior, and they have all these world-class players that are in the top 10 of the Ballon d'Or list, and not just 1, but they have 3 or 4 in that top 10. Then if you're up against a team like that, then yeah, you say, okay, fine, we need to win the next 8 games, right? But we're not up against such teams. We're up against very good teams, but we're up against teams that we literally saw from last week. They could go and tie against Torino and struggle to get that draw. Completely struggle. Torino should have won that game. Torino should have been 2-0 up. Inter got super lucky. Super lucky. So I just don't think we need to win every single game. Honestly, I think out of the next 9 games, so okay, we've got 8, but the other team, Inter and Milan, still have 9 to go. I think Inter actually have 10? Let's say they have 9 games. In the last 9 games, I think you could get away with winning just 7. I think 7 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss, and I think we can still win the Scudetto. I think it'll be tight. You might win it by a point. You might win it by goal difference. But I just think that's enough. I don't see Inter and Milan walking away with 8 or 9 wins. I just don't see it happening. But Vesavis is saying 7 bare minimum for me. It could be possible, but hard. We don't need to keep up since we have points to catch up on. We don't need to keep up since we do have. Let me reread that. We don't need to keep up since we have points to catch up on Milan and Inter as a game in hand. I don't know if you meant if we do need to keep up. If Milan and Inter lose today's match, then we need 7 out of 9 next 3 games. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. 7. I feel like 7 out of 9 would be a very, very positive result. Obviously, 9 would be fantastic. But 7 out of 9, I still think is good. I think we'd be on track at that point. I think a lot of people would see that as a negative thing. I think we'd be on track. I think 6 we're starting to. 6 is like, okay, now we can only really slip up once, and at most with a draw. But yeah, let's see. It's going to be very, very interesting. Tamo is saying 7 points would be good. 9 points, obviously better, but maybe a bit unrealistic. So yeah, I see a lot of you guys saying 7. Over half of you, 52% of you saying 7, and very few of you saying 6. So some of you guys are. So essentially, what some of you guys are saying is that if Napoli lose 1 game, we're done, which translates to you don't think Milan will lose more than 1 game out of the next 9 that they have to play, which I don't know. I can't see that happening. I can't see Milan winning 8 out of 9. It just, in my head, that just doesn't register. The fact that they've already won a few games on the bounce, it would mean such an incredible streak, and I just don't see it happening. Especially not when you start playing against teams that are fighting for relegation. You know, we saw how difficult Udinese made it for us. Even Verona, who are not playing for relegation, made it for us last week. I just can't see that being the case. I don't think either of the top 4 teams will win all of their next games. But let's go into the analysis of the games, guys. But I am still very keen on your opinions about all these things. So let's start off with how the game set up tactically today. So in the first half, we were playing with a 4-3-3, and obviously, playing a 4-3-3, we were lacking that number 10, which usually is Zielinski when we play a 4-2-3-1. So it was actually Insigne that would move from the left to the center and play as a number 10, with Mario Rui pushing up more. So we only really had one, up until the goal, we only had one of the fullbacks pushing up. It was either Mario Rui or Di Lorenzo. Most times it was Mario Rui because it was Insigne that was moving out of position, allowing Rui to come into that space. And Udinese made it extremely difficult for us to play with Lobotka. Obviously, once you limit Lobotka, then it becomes extremely difficult for Napoli to play. So they had the front 3 that were extremely tight. They didn't press Koulibaly when he had the ball. They sort of kept their distance, because when you start pressing Koulibaly, then it might open up. If you press Koulibaly and he passes it to Fabian, it opens up the gap for you to pass in between and get the ball to Lobotka. They didn't do that. They kept it nice and tight between themselves, so a pass to Lobotka would have been extremely difficult. So what Napoli had to do was, again, put Insigne into that number 10 position, and then you play the ball to Fabian super quick and hopefully get it to Insigne super quick. And then the responsibility of how Napoli would evolve from then on rests on Insigne. And that would sometimes mean giving the ball off to Politano and having Politano do a one-on-one against the Udinese left back. But that's how Napoli played in the first half. It was or at least in the start of the first half, it was very much reliant on getting the ball to Insigne in that number 10 area, because Lobotka was heavily marked. Using Insigne as a number 10 when you have Mertens on the bench, well done Spalletti, great idea. Yeah, I mean, the problem with this is that Insigne had to. So the reason why we don't play Mertens in that position is because obviously this is when we attack. Insigne shifts over to the center, But when you defend, Insigne has to become that extra left back. So Insigne is constantly going between left back and number 10, left back and number 10, left back and number 10. That's a lot of running, and to be fair to Insigne, he does this extremely well. And is always at least in the right position. So credit to Insigne there. I didn't say he had a bad game. I put him as a 6, which is just average, as in he didn't stand out negatively, nor did he stand out positively. Even though some of you guys think that's a criticism, that's not a criticism. That's just he did an average job. So that's why I gave Insigne a 6 in my ratings. Then we get the first opportunity of the game, the first real chance, which comes to Udinese. So this was a free kick coming in from, let's say, a third of the field down from the left. Osimhen heads it out, very good that he's in the right spot at the right time, and he puts it into an area of the field just outside the box where Napoli have conceded so many goals this season. We conceded a shot from there from Leicester City in the Europa League, from Pedro against Lazio. It's just so many. Every time that we have a free kick, we seem to be the first people that get to the ball, but then we don't get the second balls, and they screw us over just time and time again. And that's what happened this time. Udinese recover the ball in that position, and they're able to whip in the second cross. And in this second cross, Napoli is always disorganized. We give the guy on the ball way too much space to pick out a pass. He's got loads of time and space. And then you've got Beto, which is their number 9, their most dangerous player, who's completely unmarked. And he gets a ball whipped into him and he puts it wide. But really, this should have been 1-0 Udinese. Beto from that position needs to do better. And we are extremely lucky at the fact that he didn't score. But this is a systematic issue that Napoli is having. Anthony Navarro is saying if Milan win, they are 3 points ahead of us, and if they lose a game, then we are still second place. I think that's the case. But Milan are tied on points with us at the moment, but with one game in hand, and I believe their game is starting quite soon. If not, maybe Inter is playing, but definitely someone is playing in the next 2 minutes. So that's how Udinese, that's one way Udinese, but teams in general are super dangerous against us. Now let's go into how Napoli attack, and we see an iteration of what we saw earlier. So we saw earlier that Insigne was going into that number 10 position, but at times, depending on how the play goes, Insigne then, once he gets into that number 10 position and gives the ball off to Politano, what he actually does is that he returns back to his natural left wing, and it's Mauro Rui that then goes into that central number 10 position. And really, all Mauro Rui is doing there, he's not there to take on shots or whatever. What Mauro Rui is doing there is he's just keeping one of the midfielders from Udinese engaged. If you can keep that guy's attention, then maybe Fabian can sneak in behind, and if there's a loose ball at the edge of the box, then Fabian has essentially no one marking him outside of the box to get a shot away. And that's why you want Mauro Rui or Insigne if they swap positions. That's why you want someone there, is to allow Fabian that space to get into a really good position unmarked, because we know how dangerous Fabian can be from those areas. But then we get to how Napoli conceded the goal, which was a very good transition by Udinese. Napoli not aggressive enough on the Udinese players that have the ball. We just allow them way too much time to think. And to be fair to Udinese, they bring 4 players in between the Napoli lines, with Deulofeu very far away from everybody else, and this allows him to obviously receive the ball in between the lines and set himself up. He has the time and space to set himself up for a really nice shot, and he's honestly, I think, too good to be playing for Udinese. Obviously, he used to play for a team like Milan. He's still a huge Milan fan, actually, but yeah, I don't know why he's at Udinese. He's honestly so wasted there, and I think he's a player that could easily play for a team like Napoli. I mean, we're looking at players like Berardi and stuff like that. I think Deulofeu is just as good, to be honest. He's just very good baller, just an incredible player. Tammo is saying Inter is playing now. They won't win without Brozovic against Fiorentina. Yeah, the last time Inter played without Brozovic, I think was against Sassuolo, and they got smacked. So let's see how that goes, which is going to be interesting. Fiorentina are no joke of a team. But yeah, going back to the analysis, this is how Udinese scored the first goal. And then we get some very, very useful saves by Ospina. Obviously, always reactive. Just one of the most key players for Napoli this season, and avoids Napoli going down 2-0 with this save, which was, it just kept us in the game. Insigne did have a moment in the first half where you could say, come on, tiro a giro, you can score. And it just didn't really, I don't know, I think the keeper saved it. It got fingertips here. Just for some reason, last year, I think these shots were going in top corner. This year, just we haven't seen it that much. We saw it against Lazio, but really that was the only time we saw a bit of Insigne magic this season. But hey, he got himself into a good position, which is good. It's It's a good start for Napoli after Udinese score. At least we showed a reaction, but it was just very difficult for us in the first half. Fabian got a good shot away, maybe not as clean as he would have liked, that the keeper saved with his feet. But we go into the analysis of how much we struggle in the first half, and a lot of it has to do with Di Lorenzo and Osimhen. Guys, take a look at Osimhen. Obviously, he's being marked 2-1. But take a look at Di Lorenzo, who's at the top right of your screen. He is in no way, shape, or form supporting Politano, making that run behind him, which is, when he does that in the second half, we score a goal with Osimhen, right? Di Lorenzo stays defending. When the score was still 0-0, Di Lorenzo stays defending or stays behind Politano, doesn't get involved in the attack. So this leaves Politano having to dribble past 3 or 4 people. Osimhen is heavily marked. It was really 2-5 in attack, and it was way too defensive for us. Again here, a different scenario, still 0-0, Osimhen being marked 2-1. Politano has to do this all alone. Di Lorenzo's not providing any sort of support, running in behind Politano, just staying a bit back, and it's just not creating enough movement in attack for Osimhen to exploit or to run into. It's just reliant on Politano getting past someone and then very statically crossing the ball in. We'll see a different approach in the second half. However, as soon as Udinese score, we see that Di Lorenzo starts to move a bit further forward up the field, and at some points even inside the box. So not only making overlapping runs next to Politano, but also getting inside the box and taking away a marker from Osimhen. And we see that happen in this case, for example, when Napoli are pushing people forward, and we've got Osimhen now in a 1-1 situation rather than the 2-1 that we saw throughout the first 30 minutes. And that's because Di Lorenzo was there to support. Mauro Rui also gets further forward to take away the other central defender away from Osimhen. And really all this was done to try to help Osimhen a little more. That only happened after Udinese scored. And so you have to think that actually Napoli's approach in the first half, in the first 30 minutes, was maybe a little too defensive. Inter also missed Brozovic against Torino, not just Sassuolo. They looked horrible in both games, says Peyman Dadgar. That gives me a bit of hope, and I didn't realize that he wasn't there against Torino. That's a very good point, if true. I'm sure it is, if you're saying it. But it just also goes to show how good Brozovic is. You know, we've been saying how good he is, and he's been showing it on the field, but then as soon as you take that away, it's even more evident. You really see the incredible importance that Brozovic has for Inter. But then Napoli in the second half finally score with Mauro Rui whipping in a cross, and Osimhen making extremely good movement to get in behind the defender that's marking him. And from that position with a header, Osimhen does not miss. As we said before, Dries Mertens came on in the second half. He changed the game, always seemed to be in the good position. Here he picks up a loose ball and almost scores. It would have been an amazing goal if he did, but it goes over the bar just slightly. And then we get to the goal with Osimhen. I don't remember who said it in the chat, but not waiting around always for a through ball, actually coming towards the ball and allowing Napoli to go up the field with other players. So typically Osimhen, what he does is that he likes to be on the edge of the line or the defensive line and try to always run past the defenders. Sometimes you got to have the intelligence to receive the ball and pass it wide and wait for your moment. It's not always about running forward. Here he does it really well, gives the ball out to Di Lorenzo, who passes it immediately to Politano, and then Di Lorenzo, unlike the first half, he continues his overlapping run, and it creates this extra bit of movement in Napoli's attack. And then when you whip in a cross that's coming in from the back, it allows the striker to come in with pace and speed and beat the defender in the timing to the ball, and that's exactly what Osimhen does, and he scores a goal. But you know, if we go back to Politano here, if Di Lorenzo didn't make that run and Politano just crossed the ball in without that extra movement, it would have been extremely difficult for Osimhen to score because it's harder to get the timing right. And we've seen Osimhen score these type of goals before, but it's, I think, more difficult than when you are in this position, which but even then, this is an extremely difficult goal to score. I mean, people think that it's easy, but look at how the ball is coming almost behind him. He has to twist his body to get it past the goalkeeper, put the right sort of pace, keep it low, make sure that the defender doesn't block the shot. This is a really, really good goal, and I think underrated goal by Osimhen. Daniel Bowen, thank you so much for the €10 donation to the channel. I appreciate it. Crazy emotions today. Dom got choked up. What chance do you give Inter Milan dropping points this round? I think they've got difficult games. I think every game we play from now on, all three teams have a 50% chance of dropping points. Honestly, guys, I honestly think for the next 8 or so games, no matter who you play against, you've got a 50-50 chance of dropping points. That's why I don't think this is in any way, shape, or form over if we drop a point here or there, or 2 points here or there. Because honestly, I feel like every game is a lottery. I can totally see Fiorentina winning today. I can totally see Inter winning today. Both scenarios, two different sides of the spectrum, I can just both see that happening. So, yeah, it's... and the same thing goes to Napoli. I mean, Udinese could have won today, right? It required Osimhen being in top form. Without this kind of Osimhen, it wouldn't have happened. And really, we'll have to see against Atalanta if Dries Mertens can pick up the if he can pick up the baton and do a good shift for us. Zielinski then came on and got a red card. Well, not he got a red card, but he allowed Napoli to. How am I going to phrase? He came on and Udinese got a red card because of Zielinski. That makes sense. And as I said, Mario Rui almost came close to scoring. We really want to see a Mario Rui goal. He's been getting forward and into really good positions over the last few months, trying a few shots from outside the box, and to be fair, they've not been bad shots. If you compare them with maybe some of the things he used to do in the past, these have been much better, and I do think actually Mario Rui might sneak in a goal for us before the season ends. I think that would be unreal if it did happen. And then we get to the dying moments of the game. There is a shot coming in from outside the box, and Osimhen gets a yellow card for this. He does... Look, guys, this is a shot which is heading towards goal. I know it's harsh, but I think it's a right yellow. A lot of you guys voted that it's not a yellow. For me, I would be pretty annoyed if I didn't get a yellow and this happened against me. So yeah, I don't know. I'm still on the fence about this. Is really 50-50. It's very harsh, but I think considering the fact that it was a shot on target, I don't know. I have to read the rule books about that. Inter more than AC Milan, says Anthony Daniel about dropping points. Difficult to get a Napoli jersey in the States, says Antonio Tonti. Yeah, I totally agree that actually Napoli, they're putting in a lot of money into marketing. They have all sorts of jerseys of all different colors and patterns and all that. And whilst that side is going really well, the distribution and supply chain side, not so much. There's not enough Napoli stores. There's not enough. Obviously, you can't walk into an Adidas or Nike and buy Napoli. We are being sponsored by Emporio, by EA7, the sporting line of Emporio Armani. It's not easy to find a shop like that, and I haven't been to an Emporio Armani shop ever since we got together with them, ever since Napoli and Emporio Armani are collaborating. But I don't think I would be able to walk into Emporio Armani and say I want a Napoli jersey or I want Napoli merch. It just doesn't blend, and I don't think Armani are involved in any way, shape, or form in the distribution and supply chain of the jerseys, which means we don't have a store where we can buy the jerseys unless you're in Naples and you go to the official Napoli store. Obviously, there's a few. There's near the stadium and the central station, all these sort of things. But outside of Naples, you don't have that. There's no Napoli store outside of Naples. And, if you're not supported by Adidas or Nike, then you're really screwed in terms of picking up a jersey. So you have to go through the Napoli website, or you have to go through Amazon, and the Napoli website sometimes gives people problems. I've had loads of people message me about it, seeing if I could help them. It just doesn't seem smoothless as maybe it should be for a team at the top of Italy like Napoli. David El Frosti is saying Osimhen misses next game. Yeah, misses next game against Atalanta. But as I said, maybe that's a blessing in disguise, because then for the last 7 games, we have an Osimhen that is fully rested, isn't worried about missing the next game. Imagine going into the second to last game of the season and we have a chance of winning the Scudetto, and then Osimhen gets a yellow card and misses the last game. I think that would be almost catastrophic for Napoli. I think better now than as the final game of the season. It would just be super, super disappointing if Osimhen, wouldn't be available for the last game of the season or something like that if we really needed him at that point. So I think better now, get it out of the way. It was bound to happen at some point. And, Osimhen has a knack of scoring goals against teams in the bottom half of the table, or not against the top 8. So actually, him missing Atalanta might not be that big of a blow. I think Osimhen is still the type of player that is more decisive against the smaller teams. That's what the track record shows. So I'd rather him play against Empoli than against Atalanta, if this makes any sense. Some people would say, oh, let's get him. It would have been better if he missed a game like Empoli. No, I think Osimhen against Empoli maybe is more important to have him there than maybe against Atalanta. In any case, I think Dries Mertens will do a very good job for us. So that's not really, like, it obviously sucks, but I'm not too worried about it. Guys, so we have been talking for an hour, but it's time now to see what the boss has to say, which is Luciano Spalletti in his press conference, guys. He's obviously going to be super happy about this, and as well, Osimhen, he had something to say. So let's start off with Osimhen, actually, because he had a little bit of a chat with after the game on the field, and he said, we knew this would be a complicated game for us. Udinese was playing some really good football in the at halftime. Spalletti and us spoke. We said that we needed to keep believing in our idea of football, and in the end, we were able to win. They asked him about the Scudetto race, and he says, we've got some objectives. We still have 8 games to play. We still believe in the work that we're doing, and right now all we think about is playing against Atalanta. They ask him about his partnership with Mertens, and he's saying our squad has got a lot of players with great qualities. Everybody wants to come on the field and give the team a hand. Mertens clearly did that today, and we know that he can make the difference. So that's Osimhen, and now let's get to what Spalletti had to say. So Spalletti says, so they ask him, this is the first time that Napoli come back from a losing position since Fiorentina, which was the very start of the season, and he's saying maybe in other occasions we created the same amount of chances, but we weren't as lucid up top as we were today to finish them off. Today the stadium gave us a very big hand. They were supporting throughout the game, and they wanted us to make sure we completed the comeback. We had in front of us a really good team like Udinese. Run for Fun with the $10 donation. Thank you, Run for Fun, for supporting the channel. He's saying, thanks for the channel, love it, Forza Napoli. Thanks, man. That's a very fun comment. So username checks, vibe check is okay. Passing the vibe check. And yeah, thank you for the donation. I really, really do appreciate it. IDB saying, missed the stream, but still a great result. You didn't miss the stream because I am still streaming. Alexander saying, thoughts on the upcoming game against Atalanta? Napoli seem to always have a hard time beating Atalanta. I don't think Atalanta is the same team that they were in previous years. I do think that it's going to be difficult. It's going to be physical. And you know what? I think Mertens playing, I'm actually confident in that. I think that it's the perfect game for Mertens. I really do. So let's hope that he can bag a goal or two against them. I would love to see Elmas start. My gut is telling me to bench Insignie, but having said that, Insignie will probably score now, which is I would be happy. I don't know why you guys think I personally don't like Insignie. It's not that. I just want all our players to do well. But I'm very happy that Anguissa didn't get a yellow card, because I do think that he will be instrumental against Atalanta. His physicality is going to be super important against them. So let's continue with the press conference about that Spalletti did. They asked him about Zanoli and what he told. They asked him about what he said to Zanoli before entering the field, and he said Zanoli is a young player who will be super good. He has the qualities to become a very good player. It's clear that when you don't play him very much, the confidence might go down, but we know his strengths and we want to transmit that to him. Osimhen instead is a player that goes above and beyond his potential. He has an acceleration that goes beyond the limits of imagination. Sometimes we use him too little, and we don't cross the ball enough, but we need to do that because he is extremely well with his headers. Mertens, we have to. They asked him about Mertens and how he provided maybe that little bit extra in today's game, and he said we have to be extremely careful with the equilibrium of the team. When you want to manage the game, you can maybe bring on players that have the qualities that Mertens have, but what did he say? Okay. Well, he's saying basically when you have the ball, then you can bring players like Mertens. When you're struggling to recover the ball from midfield, then you can't really play Mertens as opposed to another midfielder like Zielinski or something, because you obviously need help in recovering the ball first. But when you do have the ball, then Mertens is a really good player to help that transition. So it really depends on what the team needs. We have to be extremely good at interpreting the games. The modern football is extremely complicated, and we have to also be aware of what the opposition is doing. The spaces is something that we've got to create for ourselves, and we've got to utilize them. And he's saying that maybe if we always had Osimhen available to us, then we could have been higher up the ladder of the championship. So that's what Spalletti had to say to us, and I think he's happy with the result. I don't think I don't know, it was a bit unenthusiastic what he had to say about Mertens, about that he could only be used in certain situations. I would have liked him to have said, oh yeah, Mertens came on and it was exactly what we needed and he's such a good player and blah, 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 blah. Instead, he really toned it down. He was like, yeah, Mertens was good, but we can only use him in certain situations. It's like, whilst that could be true, I think for his confidence going into the next game, knowing that we need Mertens to start because Osimhen will not be eligible to start, I think Spalletti should have hyped him up. I think Spalletti should have said, yeah, Mertens, it was my bad that I haven't been using him lately. I think he's going to be really decisive in the next few games. He showed his quality, blah, blah, blah. He should have hyped him up a lot more instead of being like, yeah, Mertens, we can play him when, certain situations happen, blah, blah, blah. Come on, man. We need Mertens to absolutely smash it the next time we get onto the field, and he did. He got a 7 in today's game. I'm just going to put up the player ratings for anyone that missed it, who's maybe late to the stream. In the meantime, Mike donated $2, so thank you, Mike, for your donation, making aglio e olio con peperoncino to celebrate. Oh, man, I wanted to do that today, but then I realized that I didn't have peperoncino, so... But I had a craving for aglio. I don't think I've had it for maybe 6 months. I think 6 months is the last time I had it. But it's so simple, guys. All you have to do is cut a little bit of garlic. Cut a little bit of... I always confuse onion and garlic. Cut a little bit of garlic. Cut a little bit of peppers. Peppers? No, chilies. Peperoncino is chilies. Cut a little bit of chilies. I always confuse peppers and chilies because in Italian, peperoncino sounds very similar to peppers, but it's not. It's chilies. So you cut a little bit of garlic, cut a little bit of chilies, a little bit of oil, and that's it. That's really it. A little bit of maybe parsley on top, and that's it. A little bit of grated bread, like breadcrumbs, if you're feeling adventurous. and then you just leave it there. And that's your dinner sorted. If you've got those 3 ingredients, trust me, and trust Mike Harstad for that. With spaghetti, obviously. So yeah, Domenico Caruso, another Domenico in the chat. Nice. Ciao Dom, again and again. Osimhen on fire. Forza Napoli. Incredible Osimhen, incredible. As I said, guys, some of you might have missed the start of the chat, but he is the only player to have scored 2 goals in a row all season in the Serie A. So, that shows how difficult it is, and it shows how important he's been in previous weeks. And this comes off the back of goals against Cagliari, goals against Venezia, really, really important goals. So yeah, best dish ever, always with the parsley, says Mike Harstad. Yeah, honestly, I had a really good, what did I have for lunch? What did I make? I had fettuccine with pesto. But yeah, I had to compromise because that's actually what I wanted to do. But then, as I said, I didn't have the chilies, so I had to compromise with pesto. But yeah. Anyways, guys, enough food talk because it is getting me hungry and it is a little off topic. But yeah, just shout out to Ospina as well. I mean, we don't talk much about Ospina, but Ospina was incredible for us, keeping the score still 1-0 in the first half, and it allowed us to still be in the game because he had some incredible saves. If there's any updates on Di Lorenzo, guys, do let me know. That's something that I didn't really understand how serious the injury was. So okay, there's the official report from Napoli about Di Lorenzo, trauma contusivo distorsivo del ginocchio destro. So trauma contusivo, how can I translate that? Like I think that just means that his right knee has been, something happened to his right knee. I wish I was a doctor, that way I could know exactly what that translates to. Okay, apparently contusivo translates to contusive. It's in English. I didn't know that was a word in English. I don't know. Is there any other word for contusive? Does anybody know what contusive means? I have no idea what contusive, how else you can say. Bruise? Injury to the body without breaking the skin, says Oxford Dictionary. So I guess it just means he got hit. I guess that just means he got hit in the knee. So yeah, that's essentially Napoli put out a statement saying Di Lorenzo got hit in the knee. Okay, fair enough. So it's just a very general medical term, contusive, to say you got hit and it didn't bleed. So yeah, that's good. Fabio XD saying, Dom, what do you think? Who's starting in striker position against Atalanta? It has to be Mertens. Because Petagna hasn't played in ages. So Mertens is the guy for us. Obviously, it's going to be difficult because Mertens, I don't know if he has 90 minutes in him. He showed that he does have 45. What happens after the 60th minute in attack? I don't know. Do we bring on Petagna? Is Petagna ready? Is he even fit at the moment? We don't really know. He's disappeared. Di Lorenzo said, I'm fine, it's just a knock. He just got a knock on the knee. Dom, I am telling you, says Anthony Navarro. Okay, got it. So that's what it means. So he just got a knock. I mean, I think we came to that conclusion. We eventually came to the right conclusion. We weren't 100% sure, but Anthony, who's the biggest Di Lorenzo fan, would know. So yeah, so that's pretty good. Alexander saying, with the upcoming World Cup qualifiers and Italy's playoff match against Macedonia, I hope everyone stays healthy. Yeah, I mean, Elmas is not going to be playing, which is good for both Napoli and Italy. So without Elmas playing, because he's got a yellow card that he has to... he got a yellow card in his previous game, and so he has to miss this match. With Elmas not playing, I can't see North Macedonia giving Italy too many problems. It's the next game that's going to be a little bit harder, probably against Portugal. And in that game, we'll see. Was Mairui called up to the squad? Let's see. Portugal squad playoffs. Let's see. Is Mairui called up to the Portugal squad? Wow, no, he's not. What does this man have to do? How did Mairui not get called up? I mean, I know that obviously Portugal has some very good players, but come on. You'd think that he would have been called up. He has been called up before, and he has been playing better than he's ever been playing. So it's a bit difficult to understand that. Like, it is a little difficult to understand how Politano got the call-up this time but didn't get the call-up for the Euros when he was much more in form. So, yeah, it's a bit difficult. Domenico Caruso is saying, yeah, it has to be Mertens. Maybe Elmas in the second half. Elmas is a number 9. Did we ever play him there? I don't think so. But I don't see him as a number 9. I think it's going to be so difficult because you have to rely on Mertens playing the whole game or Petagna coming on at some point, and I don't know how fit Petagna is. So it's going to be difficult. We definitely need to intervene this summer in attack. I think we need to buy someone like Scamacca or Luca from Pisa in Serie B. Someone that I think fitness-wise you can rely on, because look, Petagna's not a bad striker, but you just don't know what you're going to get in terms of fitness. You don't know if he's going to be fit, and if he is declared fit, how in form he actually is in terms of literally like running. Whereas if we get like a younger striker in his, under 26, not overweight, I think then that's already a huge improvement. That means that if Osimhen is ever injured or yellow carded or whatever, we know we can bring someone on who's at least in the athletic department is going to give us something, right? Because right now we don't really know if Petagna is gonna deliver, and we don't know how long Mertens can last against Atalanta. So yeah. Lozano, yeah, that's a very good point, Daniel saying Lozano can play striker. That's probably, you know what, that I can see that happening. And Lozano as a number 9, I like it because he's more similar to Osimhen as a number 9 than either Petagna or Mertens, because Lozano has got speed and he's very good at making runs, extremely good. So in theory you get a player who is very similar to Osimhen. He's also good with his head, not obviously as good as Osimhen, but he has the right jump and the right timing for the jump. So if you give him a good enough cross, he can get to the end of that. Whether he will score is a different topic. But at least in terms of getting to the end of the crosses, yeah. Jasonic Multiverse is saying Di Lorenzo out for the national team. Di Lorenzo out for 2 or 3 weeks. Nah. I thought we said he just got a bruise. Guys, what's going on? What's going on with Di Lorenzo, guys? I don't think there's anything officially saying he's out for 2 or 3 weeks. So let's keep refreshing the news on that over the next few days. So yeah. They'll definitely do some scans and stuff like that in the morning. Anyways, guys, I will end the chat here. Hope you guys enjoy your Saturday night. Obviously, Napoli winning. Charles Leclerc putting the car in pole position. Ferrari is back, and you can't ask for anything more in terms of sporting results. Honestly, guys, if you're not a Ferrari fan, then why would you be a Mercedes fan, for example? Why? You gotta be Ferrari fans. I know they have the same owners as Juventus, but it's different, okay? It's different. Anyways, I'm excited about both things. About Leclerc putting the Ferrari in P1, about Napoli winning 2-1 against Udinese. Let's see any updates from the Inter game right now. Let's see what they're doing. Still 0-0 against Fiorentina. Fiorentina with more shots on towards goal than Inter, 6-4. Good, very even game. Looking at the stats, 52% possession to Inter, same number of passes more or less, same pass accuracy more or less, same amount of fouls more or less. Inter with 4 corners compared to 1. So yeah, just very even game right now. Looking at the stats, but there's potential there for Inter to drop some points. Anyways, guys, did Italy win in rugby? No way, did Italy win in rugby? That doesn't happen. Let's see. Italy rugby. Oh, no way. Italy won against Wales. That is a result. That is a result. Good day for Italy. Good day. Anyways, guys, with that, with Ferrari and Italy winning and Napoli winning, then, well, Ferrari didn't win. They just put it in pole position. But still, all things going well for us right now, if you are Italian, I guess. So, yeah, awesome stuff, guys. Enjoy your Saturday night with whatever plans that you may have, whether you will be going out or watching Netflix, or going out then watching Netflix, or doing something else. Whatever it is, enjoy your evening, guys, and hopefully see you before the next game, because the next game is in 2 weeks' time. But definitely live again when it comes to Atalanta Napoli in 2 weeks' time. And with that, guys, see ya, and as always, Forza Napoli sempre. Ciao.